Now, what makes inhalation and exhalation to take place? Or in other words, what is the mechanism of breathing? How do we breathe? Which parts help us? You see, the respiratory system of human beings is made up of nose, nasal cavity, windpipe or the trachea, which divides into two bronchial tubes, and the lungs. But in addition to these, there is one more part which is not actually a part of the respiratory system, but it is very helpful in breathing, and that is diaphragm. Now, what is a diaphragm? Diaphragm is actually a muscular structure which divides our body into two parts. The upper part is called thorax and the lower part is called abdomen. So, the lungs are in the chest cavity or in the thorax, and these are covered by ribs. You know, all vital parts, whether it is heart, brain, lungs, they are protected by bones. Brain is protected by cranium or the skull. Heart and lungs are inside the rib cage. Now, why do we call it cage? Because it is actually like cage. In front there is the sternum or the breastbone, and at the back there is backbone or the vertebral column, and both are connected by semicircular bones called ribs. So, the sternum, the vertebral column and the ribs together make the rib cage. It is a kind of a cage, and inside there is not a bird but heart and lungs. Heart is in the center, and on either side there are lungs. Now, why did I tell you all this? Because it is the ribs and the diaphragm which are going to help in breathing. You see, what happens is that ribs get raised. Have you ever tried expansion of chest? When you breathe in air, the chest actually gets expanded because air has gone in. Naturally also, these are the, you can say, lungs, and below this is the diaphragm. Now, what happens is that ribs get raised and the diaphragm lowers down. Normally, diaphragm is in a convex position. So, when it becomes less convex, what happens? Say if it comes down here, the chest cavity increases, and on the other hand the ribs have got raised. So, there is some space created because of that also, and when the volume of a place is more, then obviously the pressure decreases. So, same amount of air is now present in a larger chest cavity. As a result, the air pressure decreases and the air from outside rushes into the lungs, and this is what is inhalation. So, you can say when diaphragm moves down, and ribs are raised, chest cavity increases. So, air pressure reduces and air rushes into the lungs. Now, after this, on its own, diaphragm comes back to its normal position or original position, ribs also get lowered, and so which means chest cavity is reduced and the air pressure increases, and this pressure puts pressure on the lungs and the air moves out of the body, which is exhalation. When diaphragm comes back to moves to original position and ribs are lowered, air pressure on lungs increases. And so exhalation takes place. Moves out of the body. See, this is a very oft repeated question in exams, that what is the mechanism of breathing, or how does inhalation and exhalation take place. This can also be shown by a very simple apparatus. You can take a bottle, plastic bottle, and then remove its bottom and then tie a polythene sheet to it, and then take a tube. If it is Y shaped, it is better. Then you can put two balloons on that tube like this. It is very easy to make. You can take any bottle, now bottom has been removed and a polythene sheet has been tied. When you will pull the polythene sheet down, what you will find? The balloons become inflated. Same process. This bottle represents the chest cavity, this represents the trachea, the balloons represent the lungs. So when the polythene is pulled down, the balloons get inflated, and when it is left and it comes back to its original position, the balloons again become deflated, just like lungs. And the concept is same, that the air pressure reduces if the area is larger.